Today's AskReddit post. What annoys you most about celebrities and why? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. That they are given more weight to their words than experts or scientists. Looking at you, Jenny McCarthy. Gwyneth Paltrow wants to know your location so she can shove a jade egg up in you. I just can't believe idiots like her still have an audience dense enough to buy their crap. I had been seeing a therapist for a few months and was debating if I felt like it was a good fit. One session she mentioned something I should try out that she'd read in Goop. It wasn't therapy related. We had been talking about natural remedies for something. I can't remember. I stopped seeing her shortly thereafter, since I was already on the fence about her. Knowing she was a Goop fan helped sway that decision. The consequences rarely fit the crimes they commit. Committing murder and having nothing happen to you because you're rich enough to avoid jail, and there's men in prison for 10+ years for weed dust. Privilege literally means private law. It's one set of rules for the rich and famous and a different set for the rest of us. Fines are just the cost of doing whatever you want. Peasants and nobles never stopped existing. They are given so much free stuff but have the money to pay for it. Kendall Jenner: I tried stealing these designer trousers off set but they caught me. The designer found out and sent them to me anyway. Wait, are you serious? Yeah, 100%. She brags about it on her Vogue wardrobe tour vid. Duck that. Duck that, duck that, duck that. They don't annoy me. The fact that we, as a society, worship and shower them with wealth and platforms for their obviously useless opinions on complex issues is what is annoying. Haha. Seems like no one is ready to have that conversation. Our adoration toward celebrities is reflected directly by our culture. It kinda seemed like that was gonna change in the beginning of the quarantine because of all the love doctors, nurses and scientists were receiving, but unfortunately it didn't stick. We need Ja Rule's opinion on this pandemic to get through this. You're jesting. But you know something's wrong with people when they need Jennifer Aniston to ask them to wear a mask on Instagram before they actually start wearing one. I used to work at the BBC and the majority of them, either intentionally or unintentionally, were absolute assholes. Simple stuff like getting up, walking across the room to get water is something they expect other people to do for them. Chasing across the country in the pouring rain to deliver something to someone's house in the middle of nowhere because they wouldn't wait 30 seconds for a script. Then screaming abuse at them when, by a miracle, they actually find your huge country house in the rain and dark that doesn't have a name or a number. I'm looking at you, David Frost, you massive cunt. Or calling the police because they ring on your door to deliver something they were expecting. I won't name that one as they are still alive. So many of them with petty expectations or just plain rudeness. Paula Yates, may she rot in hell, I think was the absolute worst one of an overall very bad bunch. Don't get me wrong, some of them were lovely people. Kate Aid was extraordinarily nice, letting me wait in her London pad and insisting I had some sherry. But there were a distinct minority. David Bowie was also very nice. TLDR. What annoys me most about most celebrities is they are arrogant and ducking rude. Knowing that David Bowie was nice makes my whole world okayer. From everything that I've seen, he just spent his life soaking up ideas and experiences from all over and turning them into cool new ideas. When inspiration comes from everywhere, you can't afford to write people off. He also ducked this dude's dad. My favorite post of all time. There's a lot, but something recently just happened that made me furious. Ellen and her show is being investigated by their network for having a toxic work environment. Something that former and current employees are coming forward with. Celebrities are now hashtagging I stand by Ellen to show her support, and some like Katy Perry and Ashton Kutcher are saying I have always been treated with respect by Ellen. She has showed me nothing but kindness. She's a great person. Ricky Gervais was right when he said these celebrities are so out of touch with the real world. Of course she'd treat her famous guests nicely, because if she was rude they wouldn't come back and she wouldn't have a show anymore. It would just be her sitting in a couch and being a bitch to everyone. They're fans. I can understand if you like an actor or musician, but they're not just gonna see you in the crowd one day and decide to marry you. It's not gonna happen. I used to be like that until I got a bit older and realized how stupid it sounds when people want to marry random celebrities they've never met. Now I just stuck to enjoying their work. The way they never ever acknowledge their nannies or housekeepers or personal chefs or assistants. Then they are all self-carers and hey, you know what? I'd maybe have time for self-care too if I never cooked or cleaned or had to do every damn thing in my own life in the few hours between working and sleeping. If people knew how many staff were in America's sweetheart Captain Awesome's mansion 365 days a year, they maybe wouldn't be quite as relatable, I guess. When Kumail Nanjiani got shredded, he was sure to highlight that it would have been impossible for him to get in that shape without the help of the trainers, chefs and nutritionists provided by the studio. I appreciated that. Rob McElhenney has said similar things. Their honesty is refreshing. That's the other one. I knew another guy had said the same thing, but it was stuck on the tip of my tongue. The news articles, man. LeBron James first one to use stadium's new toilet. Stupid shit like that drives me insane, and there's billions of those shitty articles, lol. Kylie Jenner, brave for taking off fake lashes and hair extensions. She's a self-made gazillionaire. If you ignore all the family money, you also have to ignore all the poor morons who donated money to her to help push her over that 1B mark. What's funny is her brand is valued at $1 billion, not her personally, and that is just if someone wanted to buy it. It probably only makes like $100 million per year in net profits, and she doesn't directly get all of that. It's why Forbes bumped her off the list. The way they try to seem relatable. We're all in this together. No, the duck, we are not. We're walking while you're flying. Stop trying to seem like you're one of us, cause you're not. It's like they don't realize that simply not saying anything is a valid choice. It is until they get yelled at for being complicit in the badness for not using their platform. It's a lose-lose for them often. Lose is a bit strong. You haven't really lost when you're wealthy, safe and well looked after. Millionaires and billionaires telling us we are privileged and should give more to charity. Like, bitch. 3 of y'all could end world hunger. I was just scraping up $2 for a burrito and ice water at Taco Bell. We all need to just stay at home during lockdown. If I can do it, so can you. From someone who lives in a mansion with massive garden, a swimming pool, tennis court, home gym and multiple living rooms. If I had what's basically a private resort, I'd have no trouble staying at home for 8 weeks. If I lived in a mansion like that, I'd probably never leave even if the pandemic wasn't a thing. IKR. Get bored, just order a new extension. Sarah Winchester has entered the chat. They think just because they're famous that their opinion matters when most of them are uneducated. This is a problem until you agree with their viewpoint. Then rah this celeb is the best because she tells it like it is. Telling people that if they try hard they are gonna be successful and accomplish all their dreams. It just makes poverty seem like a mental thing. It sounds cute and encouraging, but it isn't that simple. As a result of that, countries like the US and the UK do not want to invest in social programs to help people in poverty or are homeless because we were basically told that it's all their fault and if they tried they could get out of poverty and homelessness, when actually it is much more complex. When they don't actually do anything worth being famous for. Cough Kardashians, cough cough. Kim Kardashian got famous for sucking off a rapper that no one knows anymore. How a lot of them believe they're a gift to the rest of us lowlifes. As much as I like Kanye's music, gotta admit, this pretty much sums up his attitude. You're for real. I can respect what artists like Kanye have done for music in general, but if they never existed, would we really care? As someone who doesn't listen to any hip hop, rap, or any music that is remotely popular, the answer is no. I only learned about his existence because of South Park's Fish Sticks episode, and he only stays relevant because other people keep talking about him. I heard clips of his music recently because of a YouTube documentary that explored his impact on the music industry, and I genuinely cannot understand why he is as big a deal as he is. At a time when gangsta rap was pretty big, Kanye totally broke through the music industry with a bunch of soul samples and gospel music basically. Jesus Walks became the biggest song in the country, which would have been unheard of before. Objectively speaking, Kanye is a bit of a musical genius in rap. He produced one of the best rap albums ever in the Blueprint, Jay-Z's magnum opus. But Kanye is really celebrated for pretty much always inventing a new sound in hip-hop that no one was previously doing at the time. Sure, a lot of it was him curating as he grew up, a big fan of music and listened to everything as he got older, but he still executed it and stood out on his own. Kanye's music in general may not be for you, but in the hip-hop world he's objectively a legend despite his issues. Trivial problems that make headlines in shitty tabloids. I saw one posted on Reddit in the past couple of days about one of the Kardashians bravely foregoing false lashes and beauty treatments during the pandemic. I don't know how they cope. What annoys me the most is any kind of virtue signaling, bandwagon jumping bullshit from celebrities. Like Gal Gadot's Imagine video, which is honestly one of the hardest things I've ever sat through. I cringed so much that I almost ruptured my spleen. Or the other one about BLM, where a bunch of white celebrities say they aren't going to take it anymore. Nothing against the message, but it's just so ducking sanctimonious and self-serving to think they really thought it would have an impact. I hate it when celebrities try to push an agenda, like Joaquin Phoenix banging on about veganism. Ricky Gervais had it right at the Golden Globes. No one gives a duck what you think. Stop lecturing us from your mansions. The only time I want to hear from an actor is when I've chosen to watch them in a movie. God, the Imagine video was so bad. People are losing their jobs and even their lives. But sure, let's watch super ducking rich people sing shittily online. It's like, stay in your mega mansions and leave the rest of us alone. I just quitted watching it once it played. I feel sad that no ordinary people were in that video and just celebrities. There's so much division between famous and non-famous. I think most of the hate here is directed at younger actors and musicians who were chosen at childhood by agencies to be stars. Those people can easily develop narcissistic tendencies. However, people like Samuel L. Jackson, who only started acting at age 30, or any actor or musician who has ever worked in manual labor, are more often honest people than not. Harrison Ford was a carpenter, wasn't he? Anyone got any anecdotes to confirm arsehole not an asshole? He is a very antisocial guy who struggles with social anxiety. If you notice when he is promoting something on a late night show, he usually does a sketch instead of a normal interview because he can focus on his lines and performance and not the crowd. Shouldn't the term be asocial? So there's a Disney actress that was upset about George Floyd. Rightfully so, but she said the most asinine thing ever. If you're white and able-bodied, go here and put yourselves on the front lines. Risking arrest is the bare minimum you can do. We don't risk anything ever. Direct quote off her Instagram. What happened to George Floyd was absolutely awful and wrong, but really, just a completely detached thing to say. Getting arrested is the bare minimum. For who? That can duck up your chances at jobs, housing, etc. Celebrities think they're coming from a moral high ground, and that's what annoys me about them. Are you talking about that lady from Glee? When she spoke out, her castmates and people called her out for being an asshole in the past. That's Lea Michele. She's insufferable too, but this is Rowan Blanchard from the show Girl Meets World. That kid took a major turn. I wonder what happened. No shit, I haven't seen anything about her in a while. I always thought it was interesting though that Danielle Fisher and Sabrina Carpenter, I think that's her name, are super close, but you never saw anything with Rowan. If they commit a crime, they are less likely to get as long of a sentence as a non-celebrity, especially rappers. I love rap, but a rapper can shoot up a children's hospital and be out on bail in 2 weeks. A rapper could rape an orphanage and Twitter would be blowing up with a hashtag saying yo free Kanye. What happened to him was ducked up. Yo free TK, he ain't doing thin. He just a kid with talent. Celebrities who were born into families that are already established in the industry need to be more honest with themselves in the world that they were able to make it big because of their last names. It's not their fault that they were born into the family that they were. But it's not always what you know, it's who you know, and nepotism has played a big part on how a lot of them have made it big. Sure, they still have to put in some work, but it's less than some random person from a regular family would have too. I think Jamie Lee Curtis was one of very few actors that I heard of that has acknowledged that most of her success comes from the fact that her parents were Janet Leigh and Tony Curtis. I was surprised when I found out Nick Cage is a Coppola, as in Uncle Francis Ford, but didn't want to cash in on the name. It's amazing how many famous people are actually related and or connected to the industry. It really is all about who you know. The ones that change their names almost piss me off more because you bet your ass they are using those connections but want us regular folk to think they made it on their own talent and hard work. Blah blah blah. I agree. Like, good job dropping the name. But you didn't exactly remake your identity and start from the ground up. You started on a higher level with lots of helping hands along the way than most actors will ever get. Sean Penn grew up down the street from the Sheen family. Martin opened the doors for Sean. The culture of worship that surrounds them, because it's stupid that they could help so many people with just a fraction of their wealth, but instead they buy 500 cars and $1 mill rings. The ironic thing is that Pablo Escobar was a celebrity to do that. Love how they make millions but complain about corporate greed. I mean, that doesn't necessarily make them wrong though. With that said, it would be nice if they spoke out about Disney or any of the other massive corporations that run the entertainment industry with an iron fist. While it's easy to shit on the fossil fuel companies when you're a rich celebrity who can afford a Tesla, but taking on Disney would require some serious gumption. More than annoyance, but the environment is a breeding ground for sexual grooming, pedophilia, sexual assault, etc. And many are part of it or turn a blind eye to it. Their wealth and status separates them from most of society and they are not held as accountable as non-celebrities. They also grandstand and make shows of caring by telling us, the common people, how we ought to treat each other and care for one another. But rarely do they give from their own personal coffers, and if they do, most ensure it's a visible act. It ends up being about them more than the people they are trying to help. We should be caring for one another even if never documented or offered up to the masses for recognition and praise. The fakeness of their lives, especially the Kardashians, all show tremendously overpaid and shallow. Meet the Kardashians doesn't need to exist. All it is a bunch of whiny rich girls crying over the most simple shit that even kindergartners won't cry over. That they somehow think or try to be relatable. There just is a big difference between them and the average human. Like that YouTube video Gal Gadot posted at the beginning of COVID, I still cringe at that sometimes. Or when Shane Dawson acted all surprised by all of Logan Paul's possessions even though he lives in a mansion himself. When they're treated like gods, Beyonce is the first one that springs to mind. No wonder so many celebrities have a complex. You've only got to look at that clip of her responding to an interviewer saying you are Beyonce with thank you. Ariana Grande is another. I rolled so hard a few years back when she whined and pouted like a ducking baby about paparazzi posting photos of her bad side, and it actually followed through that they're only allowed to take photos of her one side of her face now. I don't even know which one I'm more appalled by, honestly. Jennifer Aniston used to do this back in the day. She hated her side profile. Don't know why she wouldn't like it. She spent good money on it. Thinking that they can close off multiple streets with no problem because it's their show. Thanks for making me late to work. Lena Dunham. PS your show sucks ass. They need so much attention. And they're so loud about it too. Like that one lady on America's Got Talent. She's always like, look at that. Proceeds to jump around and dance to some person stripping while playing the flute. I think one thing that is irritating to me is celebrity children, for the simple fact that once they hit a certain age or even sooner, Our society is gonna provide them with all the adoration and opportunity that anyone could ever ask for. Essentially they're only famous because they have famous parents, and sometimes I look and think, would we care about anything you are doing if your parents weren't famous? I think it's kind of hypocritical how some celebs will be 100% against showing their kids or having news outlets take pics of their kids. But then when they want their kids to be in a movie or have a singing career or basically just be a public figure, then all of a sudden they want all eyes on their kids. But that is more of an issue of celeb worship than the actually celebrities themselves. While I overall agree, that last part could be on the kid. Like, maybe the kid hit an age where before the parent made sure they stayed out of the spotlight, but then they express a desire to follow in their footsteps and become an actor, musician, whatever as well. While nepotism is a huge problem, it does make sense for the parents to try to give them that opportunity, assuming that is what the kids want as well. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.